Welcome back to another episode of Dreading, or if this is your first time here, welcome. Today we're going to be updating our coverage of the Celeste Rivas Hernandez case, discussing all the relevant developments and what the public will be finding out in the next few years. This case has been harrowing to witness, as a 14-year-old girl lost her life, all the while her murderer and his accomplices continue to profit off of her death. On September 8th, 2025, the body of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a missing girl from Lake Elsinore, California, was found dismembered and decomposing in the front trunk of singer David, real name David Anthony Burke's, Tesla. David had left for a tour a month earlier, and the car had been left on the street outside of the home his management had rented for him, meaning that either Burke had left Celeste's body in the car prior to leaving for tour, or that someone else had killed her with access to his car. The area in which the car was located had incredibly strict parking laws, so every few days, someone working for Burke would move the vehicle to keep it from being towed and impounded. It's unlikely that this person, whoever they are, was unaware of the body in the front of the car, given the rate of decomposition and the smell that would have emanated from inside the vehicle at the very least. That person stopped adjusting the car for whatever reason, and it was brought to a tow yard. Celeste's body would continue to decompose, and the workers at the tow yard would become concerned over the odor. The employees at the tow yard became concerned when the smell continued to grow, and eventually called the police. When they opened the Tesla's front trunk, officers found 2 black bags containing a severed head, torso, and limbs. After a week, they were able to identify the body as belonging to Celeste, due to the tattoos that she had. But due to the manner in which she was found, they cannot verify her age at the time of death. Celeste was a troubled young girl who struggled deeply with her mental health. She would go online to escape her internal struggles, seeking friendship and community with those who had the same interests as her, and somehow that led her to coming into contact with Burke. According to multiple interviews that he's done, David Anthony Burke was deeply into niche online subcultures, spending hours on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, and more. He was constantly online, and somehow came into contact with an 11-year-old Celeste. And so he immediately dedicated a significant amount of time to grooming the child. In a TikTok that David would post in 2024, he would also reference the fact that he had met Celeste in 2021 when she was 11. Notably, Celeste loved Hello Kitty and often wore a branded sweatshirt of the character. We don't know for certain how or when Burke literally came into contact with Hernandez. However, what we do know is that on September 7th, 2022, David would release his most popular song, Romantic Homicide. That date is important, as it was Celeste's 12th birthday. In the music video, he casted a young woman who looked exactly like Celeste. This is the sort of attention and adoration that a vulnerable child would be susceptible to. Children and teenagers dealing with feelings of depression the way that Celeste obviously was, would feel like they are overlooked and uncared for in their daily life. Their parents don't understand them, their friends don't actually like them, and so on. So, to have this cool, famous musician dedicating a whole song to you feels special and important. More significantly, predators often attempt to make their predation seem romantic. They'll frame their love as so all-encompassing that they're willing to risk everything to be with their victim. That they are not just pedophiles, but romantics, who aren't attracted to any other child but the one they're predating on. So for a child who has very little romantic experience, this can feel like a dream come true. Someone seeing you and caring for you the way you always dreamt of, especially if the majority of the predation occurs online, where the predator can depict themselves in a more favorable light. They can perfectly mold themselves into whatever the child needs at the time, mirroring their sentiments in a way that is nearly impossible to do in person. It's only as they age and gain real-world experience that the victim will realize what has happened to them. So, the following year, David would then post another song on Celeste's birthday, this one titled Birthday Suicide. 3 months later, David would then post the first image of him and Hernandez together in this public fan Discord, bringing his online predation into real life. From then on, his grooming and their inappropriate relationship escalated, with him releasing Celeste, a song he wrote for her 10 days later. The song starts with David calling the 13-year-old baby and stating that he loves her. He then depicts a truly toxic relationship in which he enjoys when she cries while holding him, stating that she gets him high without needing any drugs, but also that she only opens up to him when she is high. He then states that she, the 13-year-old girl, has gotten his name tattooed on her chest, and that he's, quote, afraid you'll only love me when undressed, unquote. Which means that if this song is as autobiographical as it appears to be, that he has somehow enabled this child to get a tattoo, then branded her with his name, then provided her access to drugs, and apparently has sexually exploited her at least once. The song also did well on TikTok and streaming platforms, and because no one outside of his fan Discord knew that Celeste was even a real person, and a child, no one batted an eye. A month later, he would do a live with the minor on Twitch.
Media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Pray for his career, chat. Are we done? Are we
We need to delete this.
Are we Maz, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too? Can we delete everything? You done for, bro? Y'all are not done? Now you gonna Epstein? Wait.
In the stream, the pair were playing games, and Celeste made a joke about David preying on children. In response, he comically told mods to wipe everything after they got off stream, which they attempted to do. David's reaction, along with the clear fact that Celeste was joking, would lead to the majority of his fans to not take the statement seriously. These two were just a couple of quippy friends, and there was nothing to be too alarmed about. It's only in hindsight that they realized that their jokes were rooted in reality, and he was actively preying upon a minor in front of them. In response to this clip, some individuals have vocalized that Celeste was a willing participant in the relationship, that while most relationships between adults and minors are wrong, and they certainly wouldn't engage in that, it was clear that Celeste and David wanted to be together, which is a ludicrous reading of the situation. Celeste was 11 years old when she began talking to David, and was deeply troubled. David purposely exploited her, using her mental health and well-being to push her into sexual situations that she could not consent to. David made himself appear as a savior, someone who wanted to take care of her and provide for her in a way that she felt her parents could not. And all she had to do to keep him around as a safety net was to engage romantically and sexually with him. It's not just that she was unable to give consent, given her age, but she was also desperate to appease him, given the fact that he held all of the power in the relationship. A month later, on Valentine's Day, Celeste would run away from home for the first time. Notably, her parents, friends, and the police were quick to note that they didn't believe Celeste was in any danger or had harmed herself, and some reports would state that she was still in contact with them. She refused to tell them where she had gone, but stated that she was safe. As Celeste didn't appear to be in any danger, the police wouldn't expend a lot of energy or time looking for the young girl. They would have kept an eye out, but classified Celeste as a troubled teen who was probably hanging out with her friends and acting out for attention. Meanwhile, she was actively being sexually exploited by a recording artist who was pressuring her to get tattoos and do drugs. She would come back home about a month later, only to run away again in April of 2024. Celeste being a repeat runaway would mean that her case would be given even less attention than before. If her missing persons flyer was publicized, the public would feel less inclined to pay attention to it, given her past of running away then coming back. And notably, it was only after Celeste was murdered that local establishments produced security camera footage of her running away from home, evidence that they had since she went missing. But from this point on, Celeste would never return back home. She was still supposedly in contact with some family and friends via text, and apparently was alive and hanging out with David again. Celeste would be seen on tour with him and in some of his TikToks. However, her online accounts would seemingly go dark. On February 2nd, 2025, David would post a video of him cleaning shoes outside of the mansion he was staying in with the 14-year-old. The shoes don't appear to be dirty or stained, but later reports would claim that these were in fact Celeste's sneakers. Her death seemed to do little to David, as he would go on to release his album Withered, and began hanging out with another Celeste, that being 23-year-old Celeste Herrera. Herrera was similar to Hernandez, and in multiple photos and live streams done around this time, she was seen wearing clothes similar to Hernandez, particularly the Hello Kitty sweater that Hernandez had gone missing in, which isn't entirely unheard of. David was deeply obsessed with Celeste Hernandez. He would release music on her birthday, post photos, and do live streams with her, and purposely put his predatory behavior in front of the public, as if begging to be caught. This is the kind of risk-seeking behavior that is indicative of a person who believes that they can simply get away with just about anything, and therefore enjoys breaking the law because they know they'll probably get away with it. In his mind, he might have believed that he'd gotten away with murder, that he had spent 3 years sexually grooming and exploiting and predating on a vulnerable child in front of the whole world, and he was so devious that no one batted an eye. So the thrill of getting away with his crimes was intoxicating. So much so that he sought out a girl who had the same name as his victim, looked enough like her that it would confuse people, and someone who would allow him to dress them in his victim's clothing. His actions, even with Herrera, were deeply depraved, and based in his need to feel like he's some tormented creative genius. Despite his new relationship, David would continue his tradition of releasing something on his victim's birthday, this time announcing the release date of the deluxe edition of his album, only for her body to be found the following day. On April 16, 2026, David Anthony Burke was arrested for the murder of Celeste Rivas. 7 months after her body was found, dismembered and decomposing in his car, he was finally arrested, which prompts the question, what took so long? In the time that elapsed between when Celeste's body was found in his Tesla to when he was arrested, we witnessed plenty of independent reporters stating that, quote, the case was going cold, or that the police stopped investigating, which is far from the truth. Those individuals were either willfully clickbaiting a 14-year-old's death or extremely unaware of how investigations like this should operate. Solid and well put together police investigations do take a lot of time. They should be handled extremely precisely to ensure that there are no easily exploited holes or mistakes in the case when it is brought to trial. This should be true for all criminal cases, but given just how much attention this crime has gained, the police have been even more deliberate with their actions. Burke is a famous and presumably wealthy singer. If this case does go to trial, he will be able to afford a lawyer who will go over every part of the investigation with a fine-tooth comb, finding legal loopholes and exploits that will allow his client to go free. A piece of evidence breaking the chain of custody, someone not being properly Mirandized before speaking with police, or an inappropriate relationship between a cop and a suspect are small but significant reasons that could result in a child predator and murderer being let out without consequence. Knowing that, the police and prosecution waited to arrest David until they had clear, undisputed evidence of his crimes. While we the public can look at his music videos and his propensity to cast women who looked exactly like Celeste and murder them in said videos, and say that he probably killed her, that would not hold up in court. All the evidence that existed online against him could easily be hand-waved away by a good lawyer. They were friends. He was acting like an older brother to her. He just happened to have a female friend who looked similar enough to Celeste that people were just getting them mixed up. Moreover, every single tweet that had supposed new evidence had to have been looked over, validated, and then investigated. Neither my brother nor I could claim to be law enforcement, but after we reported on this case, we got a number of emails from someone who was clearly affected by what happened here, to the point where they were sending us what they believed was evidence that they had also sent to the police. Everything they sent was fake, but seemed real enough to them and others. And given how inconsequential our channel is in the grand scheme of things, it would be fair to assume that police received hundreds of thousands of fake tips that they needed to look into. The investigation was trying to piece together what happened to Celeste as best they could, given the state of her body and the months that had passed since her death. The crime scene had likely been cleaned up. Her body had decomposed in the LA sun to the point where her head was described as near skeletal, and she had been dismembered. The investigation had an uphill battle to try and determine the exact cause of death where her murder took place. That's not even factoring in the fact that Burke is a famous singer and recording artist who was surrounded by people who profited directly off of his fame and success. He had business managers, assistants, PR people, and more around him on a near constant basis, and every single individual had motive to either ignore the crimes he was committing in their presence or to help him clean up after the fact. According to some reports, the police struggled to find anyone close to the case who was willing to help the investigation. Many people working with David or even friendly with him would decline to speak to them, which obviously made their job harder. But more importantly, because Burke is famous, the case needed to be handled as precisely as possible. The autopsy was conducted on Celeste's body, but it took a significant amount of time to properly piece together what exactly happened. At first, the most they were able to tell the public was that Celeste's death was ruled as a homicide, but they said nothing about how that came to be. It was only after David had been arrested that the LAPD gave the public a bit more information. According to the medical examiner, Celeste was stabbed twice, once in the upper abdomen and the other in the left side of the chest. The 14-year-old had put up a fight against David, with multiple defensive wounds found on her hands. Due to the rate of decomposition, it was unclear if Celeste had been drugged prior to the murder, as some reports showed that she had meth and MDMA in her system, while others denied the presence of drugs. There was also evidence that she might have been drunk, but again, that could have been from the decomposition. According to a press conference the prosecution did on April 20th, 2026, Burke killed Hernandez on April 23, 2025, months earlier than people had theorized. They went further to say that after murdering the 14-year-old, the singer waited to mutilate her body until May 5th, when he took an unplanned trip to a remote area of Santa Barbara. He then wrapped her body in plastic and left it in the front of his car for 4 months. Burke was also charged with lewd and lascivious acts with a child under 14, with Police Chief Jim McDonnell stating that there is significant evidence that David had sexually exploited her, and when she threatened to expose their relationship, he killed her to preserve his career. In total, David has 3 charges against him: first-degree murder with special circumstances, lewd and lascivious acts with a child under 14, and mutilating a body. He has pled not guilty to the charges against him, and his lawyers have denied that he was the cause of her death, and have taken the odd legal strategy of asking the judge for a preliminary hearing within 10 days. That demand came in on April 20th, 2026. Now, this is an often unused legal strategy, as it puts the prosecution on the defense and forces them to have their case ready to go immediately. There has been some chatter online, particularly by some legal podcasts, that the police went rogue and decided to arrest David because they were sick of waiting for the prosecution to act. We've seen no evidence of this, but the idea is that the prosecution was waiting to move on the case until they felt they had a smoking gun, while the cops believed they had more than enough to act on. If the cops acted on their own, then the actual case against David and what the prosecution can prove could be flimsy. Even so, they would usually still have a considerable amount of time to build the case before it goes to trial. People who didn't want to come forward because they relied on David for money could turn on him, and more evidence could be procured, and they would have time to make an even more robust case. But this action would destroy any of that. At a status hearing for his upcoming preliminary hearing, the prosecutors made a significant detail public for the first time, and that was the fact that he was found with a significant amount of child sexual abuse material on his phone during his arrest. And given the charges against him, it is likely that some of the material involves Celeste. At time of recording, the next preliminary hearing is scheduled for May 1st, 2026, and the prosecution has stated that they are ready and willing to go to trial within the next 2 months, and I hope that that is true. Celeste Rivas Hernandez had her life stolen out from under her. She was 11 years old when she began talking to David, and he groomed her into a sexual relationship. She was vulnerable, isolated, and he purposely did everything in his power to remove her from her family and make her feel as if he alone understood her. And she deserves justice above all else. I hope sincerely that the prosecution is ready to take the case to trial, and that the police did not act on their own accord and jeopardize the case. She deserves better than that, as do all victims. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you believe that David is guilty? Why or why not? Do you think the case will go to trial? Or do you think he'll eventually change his plea? With that said, if there's a video you would like to see on the channel, you can let me know by emailing me at dreading.official@gmail.com. Have a great day and remember, stay safe.